Hey, I'm TV and Movie Guy on Instagram, and I'll be reviewing all of the MCU leading up to the new movie Deadpool and Wolverine in July. Bought my ticket for it last week, and I'm really excited. It seems like it's like a sold out theater, so really hope it's like an energetic crowd and just have fun with that experience. I'm hoping to go through my reviews of all the MCU before then, but we'll see. So I'm watching all the MCU movies and shows in release orders so that anyone that hasn't watched before can watch along with me. I won't be talking about movies or shows until I get to them, and I'll only discuss any of the shows or movies up to that point. I'll be reviewing them assuming that you've either very familiar with them or have just watched them. I'm not going scene by scene or where I'm retelling the show or movie, and at that point, just go watch it. I haven't read any of the comics, so my base of knowledge is just what's been on screen. Today I'm reviewing the Avengers, and if you don't want to be spoiled, then stop this, watch it, and come back. And with that, allons-y. My overall review for the Avengers is it's a team-up movie unlike any other that we have seen up to that point. This came out, I think, in like 2012, and I don't remember anything else quite like it in terms of all the different movies and characters having their own properties, their own movies, and then coming together like this. To explain the movie, I'll explain it to you like you're five. And Loki is backed by an ominous and unknown being to get the Tesseract. And this will create a portal to bring an alien army to wage war against Earth so Loki can rule. S.H.I.E.L.D. puts together a team to fight this army, and they have a battle in New York. And that's about it. And then to rate this on my tier system, I have 5 tiers. You could say stars, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. First tier at the top being great, then good, okay, I didn't like it, and then bad. For the Avengers, looking back on it, I still say it's good. And then I'll go into why through my various notes and stuff in this review. This movie was the biggest movie in a long time, and it delivered at the time. It was amazing at the time when it came out. Having all the separate characters, like I was saying, in their own movies, that did well enough, and knowing that they were somewhat connected, and then bringing them together successfully to have all that star talent in just one movie. Looking back on it, it's like there were only like 6, 7 stars, like big wow, like yeah. But at the time, that was actually quite amazing. And then how would you make a story work with all that star power? Like, how do you share the screen with those 7 people? And how are you going to give everyone enough screen time and have a coherent, flowing movie and story? It just worked. They really brought it together in this one to show us something really special. It's a movie that was great when you first see it and see it with the anticipation and not having seen anything quite like it before, then going to the theater and it being really more of an experience and just a point in time. And rewatching it now, though, I mean, like I said, it's still good. I still rank it as good. But all the build-up from what I just said is why it was likely great back then. Without all the pomp and circumstance, though, and viewing it 10 years later on a rewatch, you just watch it like any other movie. Yeah, it's just good. I say just good, but it's still good, yes. You could call it being spoiled by how great some of the later movies are too, but, that's their own fault. Create something timeless. Anyway, so getting into some of the nitty-gritty of the actual review and movie. Like I said, the overall story is simple, how I explained above with Loki, and then just, S.H.I.E.L.D. putting together the team. But it's a good enough, it doesn't need to be complex with all these star-studded characters, or the star-studded cast. But yeah, the story's good enough to create it's a conduit for all the characters coming together and setting up the action. So there's really nothing to pick apart about the story overall. yeah, you can get into the nitty gritty of like this scene and that scene. Why didn't they do this or that? Overall, the story was fine, and it was what it needed to be for this blockbuster action movie to present all these star-studded characters. Uh, and then in the movie, there's a phrase they use, like phase two. And I always wondered if that was like a meta comment, because what they call like certain sets of movies are phases. So like now until the Avengers was, the Iron Man 2, the Avengers was phase one. And then after the Avengers, it became phase two. So I always wondered whether that was like a meta comment or not. But doesn't matter. I don't think they ever mentioned anything like phase 3 or 4 or anything. So I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, like I said, this movie is mostly about the characters, actors, and their performances. So I'll go through like several of them, since the story is mostly just like the action and stuff, and you get your fill of that. First character I'll go to is Phil Coulson. Phil, I thought his first name was Agent. I always liked that joke. Just Tony showing his jealous side a little bit. Just can't understand, like, this guy is a nameless agent, basically. But anyway, Phil Coulson, he's the glue guy. He popped up in 3 of the 5 movies up to this point, and he's kind of the 1 degree of separation between a lot of the characters. But yeah, he's a good side character in those movies, and then he had a prominent role in this one, it seemed, with his death. But I enjoyed his fanboyness of Captain America, and then it just showed us his vulnerability and see what he's like outside of being an agent, just what he is like personally. And then I thought his death was meaningful, mostly because of him being the glue guy, and we've kind of got invested in him like as a character in 3 of those movies, and then we kind of saw the actual human with that fanboyness of Captain America, and then the trading cards he had of him. And there was also a conversation about a cellist that he might have been seeing. And if you watch the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they kind of explore that storyline a little bit. You don't get it much other than just, like a disembodied voice in the background of him and Pepper talking about this cellist. So you got to see his human side, and just made that death a little bit harder and just really mean something. I didn't like that Fury ruined the trading cards, though, for dramatic effect. Those were collectible, near mint. And then let's go to Captain America. I don't know what it was about this movie, but in this movie, I thought he was kind of blah. He didn't seem the same character from his movie. I don't know if it was the writing or the directing, but he just seemed overly cheesy in this one. I like the bet he had with Director Fury over the $10, saying nothing could surprise him, and just slips him the 10, like, all right, yeah, you got me. And then he also had a couple other lines, some good, some bad, but yeah, just overall, I'd say blah. Nothing great from him. Bruce Banner, the Hulk, they did another recast. When I first watched the Avengers, I hadn't seen the Incredible Hulk, so I had no idea that Edward Norton was the Hulk originally. So like, it wasn't a thing to me. I didn't think about it at the time, but I really liked Mark Ruffalo playing Bruce Banner. I thought he did well, and then we got plenty of Hulk on the screen, so you saw him clearly. Like, it wasn't just one of those monster movies where like he's in the shadows and it's only for like 2 minutes that you see him fully. Nope, like we got the full Hulk several times throughout this movie. A lot of screen time for him. And then you also got to see Banner flex his brain too, so you got to see that sort of like his power. Loki, uh, his usual mischief self, like we saw in Thor. Great antagonist, but he still didn't have that like conviction of being fully committed to being the bad, where like Thor was pinning him at the top of the tower, and uh, he looked on to what was happening, and he was like, "This." Well, yeah, Thor's talking about this is madness. This will not end with your rule, and you can see the look on Loki's face, like this is not what I was picturing. Yeah, you're right. Black Widow, I thought was awesome in this one. You got to see some of her tactics for interrogations, persuasion, manipulation, and that's against Loki, against the Russians when they first introduced her into the movie. That's with Banner as well. And then I also thought Scarlett Johansson's like reaction and acting when she was around the Hulk, like right before he turns, when he is the Hulk, and after her encounters with him, like how she's normally so cool and calm in any situation, and she's not playing up, or like she's only making emotional faces because that's part of her manipulation. But with the Hulk, it was different. You could tell she was shook up. Like, this is, I'm in real danger here. So like her acting during those moments, I thought was amazing. Hawkeye, he was all right. There wasn't much to him. Like, there's not much to talk to him about because he was a mindless like turncoat for half of the movie. So yeah, not much to talk on about that. Iron Man, you got your pretty standard Iron Man, Tony Stark in this one. You've seen him already in 2 movies, and just keeps on rolling with his portrayal of the character. Robert Downey Jr. does. And I like his back and forth with Banner in the lab where they're talking shop, just really picking each other's brains. And you get to see them use their brains and not their brawn for a bit. And I like those lab scenes, just kind of talking it out. And then I also enjoyed seeing him and Pepper progressing in their relationship, like in Stark Tower, working on a project together. And like she's worried about him at the end and he's trying to call her, and just, yeah. And then Thor, him along with Hawkeye, yeah, I don't think we got a lot with Thor. Like, he had a lot of screen time, yeah, he was there, but it seemed like he was just more in the background. Like, he wasn't really driving anything, and he was just mostly there for the action and like Hulk control, it seemed. And so you have like him and Hulk like backing each other up as well during the actual Battle of New York. And then you got the comedic scene where they finally finish out in the train station or Grand Central Station, and I don't know if that was specifically it or if it was the library. And then Hulk punches him, and just quick comedic relief in that moment. But yeah, other than that, he was really only like talking to Loki or trying to get Loki back home. That was his main driver in this one. And yeah, he wasn't really in it to play around with the others. And then last character I'll go through is Director Fury. I really liked his character. His like acting like a director, not taking it from any of the Avengers or the Council. That seemed to outrank him. And then manipulating things to get the results he wants, like he did in Iron Man 2. And then you also get the softer side of him where he's comforting Coulson and having a bet with Cap. Just, yeah, it's a good character introduction. I mean, he was introduced in Iron Man 2, but I mean, you got more of him here. You got to see more of his style, my style. But yeah, and then, I mean, and then he was also kind of close with Maria Hill. So that was kind of nice to see. Like, it wasn't just Coulson that he was close with, but other agents. So we got introduced to Maria Hill, Agent Hill, in this one. played by Kobe Smulders, and then I just really only know her from How I Met Your Mother, but she was great in that and good in her limited role in this one. And those are my overall notes, and so I'll go into my other segments. So the first one being, who's that little dude? Because behind every so-called hero is a little pissed off dude that don't get no credit. In this movie, it's Nick Fury. I know people might think Phil Coulson, but Nick Fury was the one manipulating Agent Coulson's death to get the Avengers to avenge, and only 2 of the Avengers seemed to actually be there for the death, Tony and Steve. The others were off doing their own thing, had fallen to the earth in the capsule. Hulk had hulked out. And then I guess Black Widow was on comms, but yeah, just in the background. And then Hawkeye was still dazed and confused. But yeah, Nick Fury was directing everything. So yeah, the other Avengers didn't really get anything from Coulson's death. They didn't get motivation. It was mostly Nick Fury just directing everything, being the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, best and worst. Not everything's going to have a best or worst. I'll just point out if it's there or not. So the best scene, and it could just be a shot scene. I think it's synonymous, but whatever. Is when the 6 Avengers are finally together in that rotating, circling camera shot. I was waiting for this moment the very first time I watched it because it's a team movie. It's called The Avengers. It's like, okay, who are the Avengers? And it's like, okay, it's those 6. I'm like, okay, when are they all together? They were not together at all during this, not all together at all during this movie until this one shot. And I thought it was amazing. I got chills. I get chills still rewatching. Just because I was waiting for that moment, and when they finally were all together in one place, they made it a shot. It wasn't just oh yeah, there it is, zoom out. No, it's not a panoramic because it's focused on this. There's got to be a word for it, but I don't know. It's a pretty sweet shot. Yeah, without a doubt, the best scene, I thought. But another cool one that I thought, again, is just another shot, is when during Hulk's initial Hulk out incident on the carrier, he's chasing down Black Widow down a hallway or a gangway in slow-mo with sparks flying. I thought that was a really good shot, too. Best line? There were a couple good ones, I thought. So there's Iron Man's... So it starts out with Steve saying, "We need a plan of attack." And Tony's like, "I have a plan. Attack." So it was a good play on... It's pretty simple, but a good play on just the words to dive into the action. And then Hulk has a good one. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry. And just hulks out and busts the Leviathan right in the face and takes it out. Best joke. His first name is Agent. I already said that, but I always enjoy it. It's a fun, quippy, quick line. Another one is the flying monkeys, and Thor's like, "I don't understand," and Steve's like, "I do. I got that reference." And Tony's just rolling his eyes. And then some physical comedy, Hulk tossing around Loki like a rag doll. And then Loki's just and then getting on to some of the worst scene. This one might be stretching, is the Black Widow and Hawkeye scene where he's recovering from being mind controlled. Started out with some random filter on it to make it seem like Hawkeye was still under control. And I guess it's possible people get hung over, so they're still having some of the effects. But you wouldn't think with it being cognitive recalibration, it should be done right away. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I wake up and have to come down for a minute. No. But yeah, like I said, I was stretching to pick that scene because I do like it that those two have some dialogue and reference their relationship as agents and their past, and just you kind of see their soft sides, or just, I don't know, you get a little bit more with them in that scene, and it's nice for that, but I just didn't like how it started out. Worst line are like the cops on the ground during the Battle of New York, and one of them says, "Does the army know what's going on?" And the other policeman's like, "Do we?" Didn't like that line. It wasn't really needed. And another bad line was one of Cap's. "I know plenty of guys with none of that worth 10 of you." Just goes to that cheesiness I was talking about with him. And another one of Cap's lines when they're about to board a jet to go face Loki on a Quinjet. He's like, "Son, just don't." Like, just, I mean, he's acting like he's 60 or something, even though he's like probably 80 technically, but I don't know. Yep. Just his the lines that made me think he was cheesy and bland in this movie. Worst joke, also Cap. It seems to run on some sort of electricity. The first time I saw this movie, I laughed. It was pretty funny, but like, it doesn't have the staying power. You rewatch this movie and it's like, okay, you're just really making him seem dumb. All right. What happened to the Bat in this one? Loki was captured and taken back to Asgard with Thor, so didn't die, and likely gonna get him again because he's with Thor, and we'll likely see Thor again. As for the person that aided Loki in the attack, they're still out there, and having only watched the movies at this time, we know nothing about them, so we have no idea who it is or what they're about. And that leads into like the loose threads segment. So from this movie, I'm wondering, again, like, first time I saw this, I have no idea who that person is. All my knowledge is just from these movies. So who is that random guy in the mid-credit scene that was just smirking? Yeah, no clue. And then previous movies that had loose threads tied up or come full circle. So at the end of Captain America, you had Fury asking if that he had a mission for Cap. And that mission, obviously, was what led to the Avengers. It's just take down Loki and get the Tesseract back. So that's all we found out from Captain America. But Red Skull is still out there, probably. We don't really know what happened to Red Skull. And I think I'll do this going forward. Like I said that I wouldn't hit on every single loose thread from previous ones, but I think Avengers movies are a good summary point to go back to, all of them. Because this movie tied up a bunch of them from previous ones. So I think it's good just to remind ourselves every now and then. So Thor, the Bifrost was destroyed, and how will they travel? What was Loki doing there with Selvig? What's an Avenger? Those were all the loose ends from that movie, and all of them got tied up pretty nicely. So Thor traveled to Earth in this movie, and Loki said that it was dark magic that got him sent there. So, and then at the end of the movie, they were able to use the Tesseract to travel back. So there's your answer to how they can travel from now on, at least until they fix the Bifrost. And then the stinger of Loki with Selvig from Thor. It seems they were foreshadowing Loki's like mind control of Selvig. And And then we also found out what an Avenger is. Avenger is basically just part of the Avenger Initiative and a group of heroes that could go above and beyond just the normal, like, standard government army and take on out of this world kind of problems. Iron Man 2, Justin Hammer's return. Didn't get that in this one, but it's still a loose thread, so it's something that we can look forward to. From Hulk, Mr. Blue's head expanding in his return. Nothing of that in the Avengers, so pass on that. Bruce's Hulk control. He does have control, and he can become the Hulk whenever he likes, but it doesn't seem like he's able to suppress it. So it's not entirely in his control, but there's control, but then there's not. So it's just dependent on the situation, it seems. So, and then Iron Man. What's S.H.I.E.L.D.? What's the Avengers Initiative? And S.H.I.E.L.D. is just really a secret government agency that has resources to protect the country's interests as well as, like, Earth's. Avenger Initiative is just creating a team of superheroes to defend against large-scale issues that go beyond that of the commonplace war that is within average person's power to defend. So we have tied up everything from Iron Man, Thor. Yep, just Iron Man and Thor, but there's really only small things like the bad guys from the other movies. Mr. Blue, Justin Hammer, Red Skull. So really nothing huge, like nothing we should have questions on, really. All right, and then cameo in this movie, Stan Lee being a skeptic toward the end of the movie, not believing in superheroes, and he's playing chess in the park. It was a nice touch. The guy that created everything, he's like, please. Referenceable. I do actually reference this movie. I really like Cap's line of, I do. I understood that reference. I'll also just say randomly, shawarma. Want to get some shawarma? It's just a good random quick line if people are talking about, like, food. Like, and I've tried shawarma. I don't really like it, but there's just, I don't know. It's been too long. I forget why I don't like it. Maybe I should try it again. But whatever. Didn't see any questions or comments come through to address. So if you do have them, go ahead and leave them in the comments section, or you can email me, tvandmovieguideproductions@gmail.com. I'll put that email in the description of the video. And yeah, that's all I had. Again, feel free to ask questions, leave comments. I'm on Instagram at tvandmovieguy, where I review TV shows and movies. They're shorter reviews and more than just the MCU. I'm only doing these types of reviews for the MCU right now, but still watching other stuff in between my MCU viewings. Just a reminder, I've never worked on any engagement or counted any votes or ballots for any award shows. The opinions are my own and don't reflect that of my employers. My next review for the MCU will be Iron Man 3, and then I'm also going to review the Marvel one-shots Item 47 and All Hail the King. Well, see ya.